This is for moms of teenage daughters or teens or kids or people. I found myself really kind of finding a very interesting way to teach my youngest daughter the meaning of being in alignment. So I didn't really understand truly what it meant to be in alignment until I would say fairly recently, because there's wanting what you want and like getting what you want by force. And then there's actually putting yourself in a circumstance where you're going to attract what you want and make what you want come to life. And that's alignment versus like your will, your force. So the specific example or the story that is behind all this is that I'm probably going to have to move, and I may have to move and then move again in a short period of time. I won't get into the long story behind this. The reason is that in order to take 2 steps forward, I need to take a step back. And the step back might mean that for a period of time that could be 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a year, we might not like our apartment as much as the one that we actually want. And I know with teens, they worry about what their friends think, like what if we're living in a place that isn't as nice as everybody else's, or what if the specific place that I was looking at, it doesn't have a great view, and we don't have a great view now. But this may be even worse, and I may not do it. But I found myself asking my daughter, like trying to explain to her the options that we have in life and how this step might enable us to really achieve our goals. And then I asked her, like, what about this is bothering you so much? Is it that you think your friends are gonna say something like they don't need to come over? And she said, no, I really want to come home and like love the way I live and love my home. Now, I'm sitting against a blank wall in my apartment, but if I were to walk down the hall and show you what's happening in her room, it is a constant conversation for me to get her to clean her room. I'm very, very OCD with this stuff. So I've kind of gotten to a point where it's either I'm going to go in and straighten it exactly the way I want, which I may not have time to do, and which doesn't teach her the value of the responsibility, or I'm just going to shut the door and let it just fester. And I'm kind of leaning in the latter direction. So I said to her, well, if you want to come home and love where you live, then why don't you treat your own room better? Like, imagine it's not about force and will, it's about the energy that you put out. So if you aren't living in that manner, what makes you think that I'm going to fix it for you? I'm going to make that happen for you. That's just not how the world works. That's not how my life has worked. And that's the definition of being in alignment. You have to be what you want to become. You have to attract by being the same way yourself. So we'll see. I am not going to hold my breath that she's going to come home and straighten up her room or start living any differently. But that's my hope, because I don't know if I'm, as a parent, in a position where I feel like it's in a teenager's best interest to make their room pleasant for them just because it pleases me, when they're not willing to work for it, when they're not willing to take that responsibility. And if I had understood this when I was younger, and I'm not saying anything was wrong with my parenting, but just if I had understood this lesson, this idea, this concept so much earlier in my life, we probably wouldn't even be in this situation.